Hi all, let's have a look at another game of the killer Slav defence in reverse, and it can not only be used by amateur players but also grandmasters have been using it in the London Classic FIDE Open. In fact, Mark Hebden used it to very quickly defeat that person who played the brilliancy distraction tactic, which I did another video recently, mass distraction. So it was Roland Berzinsh's black, and Hebden kicked off with d4 and went in for this reverse Slav defence, the killer reverse Slav. So c3, setting up the triangle construction. But first, he wants to put the bishop outside of the pawn chain triangle. So bishop g5. So when you usually play the Slav with black, you usually have to keep the bishop at home and play e3 because you're a tempo behind. But as white, you can put it here. And I think this is, in this game, it shows a massive advantage over the normal London system setup, with the bishop usually going to f4, in that it provoked a significant weakness from black, namely h6. And you may think, well, this sort of tiny detail is not such a big deal, surely. But often, high-level games are decided by a little detail, a little weakness, altering the whole strategic course of the game. And these little weaknesses can occur straight from the opening. So it becomes like a downhill slide after. So after bishop d3, black did actually play h6. And Hebden didn't capture on f6. He played bishop f4, maintaining his dark square bishop for the moment. And black casually castled. And I say casually because maybe he wasn't expecting white's next move, which is a double-edged sword really, because it's weakening the diagonal. I wonder if you can guess what Hebden played from that clue. So 5 seconds starting from now. Okay, Hebden played the ultra-aggressive g4. So is this a way of playing with the reverse Slav? So if you haven't committed your king yet, to quickly transfer it to the queen side after trying to blast open the g-file, well, whatever works really. If it works in this particular position, then it works. So knight takes g4, rook g1, and immediately it's going to backfire on black's king at the moment because of the bishop h6. So, I mean, f5 would just delay it, h3, knight f6, bishop h6. I'll show you. New variation. So if their bishop takes h6, and white will stand clearly better, and if black wants to delay it, there's nothing really much else to do apart from after h3, knight f6, again bishop h6. So it looks as though it's a perfectly sound g4 move and very aggressive. So black played d6. And this is a common theme for black when playing against the London system, to play for quick e5 and e4 to try and embarrass these two pieces. But furthermore, in this particular setup with g4, white's weakened diagonal and f3 in particular, what Hebden does is kind of mix a bit of positional play into the position now. By playing after g5 hg, knight g5, he's allowing, bishop takes g5, he's allowing e5, but he does something not so stereotypical now. He doesn't play, for example, queen c2 or queen e2. What he does is actually take on e5, and now he weakens the e4 square control from black by playing the move bishop takes f6. And black should recapture now, because if queen takes d3, well then bishop takes e7. Black's just lost a piece for nothing. So he has to take on f6. And now Hebden switches his attention pardon me, to the diagonal and this e4 square. What he plays is actually bishop e4. After knight c6, h4. This is a very good move because it means that knight g5 is enabled, followed by the crude queen h5. Crude but very effective. White's king, because of this pawn structure, there isn't any roads to white's king here to do a counter attack. So white's got a bit of time here to throw in, even in this position, knight g5. So if he wants to develop his queen, it could be with a nice threat of mate and then castle later. So this provokes another weakness from black, another biting point for the white pawns. So g6 was played. So the queen can develop very nicely now and optimally, because the f3 square has just been vacated by the knight. The queen can develop here, hitting f6 and also strengthening control of this diagonal, strengthening control of d5 as well. Black played knight a5, offering the exchange of bishops, but Hebden played an even better move, I think. He just castled. In fact, the engine is crying out for b4 as well, but castling is just as good. I think b4's more controversial because white wants to castle with safety on the queen side. He's not too concerned about material. He really wants to get the white king, get at the black king. So castling is safer than other alternatives. So now the rook is free to come into the attack. h5 is still on. It's all really dangerous for the black king. Bishop g7 was played. And now Hebden carries on the attack rather brutally with h5. So who said that this slight modification to the London system can be boring? It depends how you play it after. So castling queenside and playing g4 is highly aggressive stuff. So now the question is, queen takes g5, is that any good? Not really, because bishop takes b7, knight takes, queen takes, and white still has a raging attack on the king side once he returns his queen back to base, or nicely to this central square. If f5 here, then queen c4 check, complete disaster. So this is all much better for white. So it's a horrible position to play. Black played bishop takes e4. Hebden did knight takes e4, allowing the seemingly dangerous f5, which would mean that these two knights are not protecting each other if that moved. But there's a big problem with f5 here. If it was played here, simply hg6, and now this pawn is a menace to the black king's safety. If takes, I think either queen h5 or queen h3 is very dangerous. The engine is saying as though queen h3 is actually the killer move. So how would black defend here? Say bishop f6, now rook d7. I think that's the point. Rook h3 supports rook d7s, which justify furthermore castling queenside, because that rook is automatically on d1. Why not use it? If Hebden had gone in for the kill in this variation with queen h5, so let's see, fe, queen takes, queen to h5, then black might be able to hold on a little bit more with rook d8, because the check, there's nothing in this position which is very concrete, although it's still an advantage for white, but an absolutely killing for advantage for white in this position occurs after queen h3, because here rook d8, actually rook takes d8, rook takes, there's another point, not just to support rook d7, but the killer move knight e6. What this does is stop the black king coming to f8. So that's a further point, not just this square but this square. Something to bear in mind when you get these attacks. Sometimes precision is needed, so not just playing the casual queen h5 but looking at h3. It just offers so many more advantages, because now there's a really big threat of just mating black on h7 without king f8. Bishop f6 here, then white can play various moves. I think the strongest is knight takes d8, and the queen can't come off here because of check and mating on f7. So basically this is really a really bad position for black. He played rook ad8, so Hebden plays hg6, and after f5 rook takes d8, queen takes d8. We still have this idea of this knight coming in to stop the black king evacuating to f8. Knight e6 was played, and black just resigned. So let's have a look. F takes e. So white can play either in this position, because the knight is now established on f8, stopping the escape route. White can actually play either queen h5 or queen h3. They're both actually technically mating 7s, apparently. So queen h5, and black will have to start sacrificing to avoid the mate. These are desperate computer moves. It just shows as a false mate. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Please leave any comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.